I have wandered the halls of my own heart, tracing the contours of memories that ache like forbidden light, wondering if the echo of your laughter will ever again be more than a shadow beneath the chandeliers of my mind. I feel you in the silence that drapes over my shoulders, in the spaces between my sighs, where only the thought of you can illuminate the darkness. Every time I close my eyes, I see your face, and it feels both a gift and a torment, as though the universe has decided that longing must be a crown heavier than any diadem I have ever worn. I remember the first time I sensed your spirit touching mine, a tremor across my chest that whispered of destinies unspoken, of nights I would spend chasing the warmth of your hand across my skin. There was a danger in it, a delicious danger, as if every glance I dared to cast in your direction might ignite the world into flame, and yet I could not turn away. You became a shadow and a sun all at once, a contradiction that left me both trembling and fearless. When I write your name in the solitude of my private chambers, I imagine it drifting through the air, like a secret song, reaching your ears even as the courtiers dance, under the weight of etiquette and expectation. I am certain you feel it too, though perhaps you disguise it under a mask of indifference. I think of your voice as the tide, pulling me closer even when I fear the undertow, and I am powerless to resist. There is a cruelty in love, is there not? A cruel wisdom that tells me to hold back, to measure my words and gestures like coins, yet my heart spills them freely into the night. I imagine sending you messages written on silk threads that float through the palace corridors, carrying my confession in delicate ink, knowing that even if you never read them, you might feel their weight, as I feel yours pressing against mine in dreams. Every candle I light in my chamber burns with a secret devotion, flickering with the hope that the flame reaches your own room, that you too burn in quiet longing for me. I fear that I am too bold, that my heart reveals more than my lips could ever dare, but the thought of remaining silent is far more unbearable. You are the strategy my soul has been waiting for, the conquest that requires no victory other than the acknowledgement of our entwined existence. I have watched the gardens awaken with dawn and thought of you, imagining your hands brushing against the petals, as if the flowers themselves were your loyal subjects. I wish to be the rose that bends toward your touch, the lily that opens only for your gaze. Yet I also wish to remain a mystery, a labyrinth you must explore patiently, never fully certain if the center of my heart will reveal itself or remain veiled in regal secrecy. I am learning that love in a palace is not merely felt but orchestrated, that longing must be measured against propriety, that every stolen glance carries the weight of 1,000 whispered judgments. And yet I defy it, in every heartbeat that races when I see you, in every thought that refuses to bow to decorum. You have become my clandestine rebellion, my sweetest insurrection, the reason I dare to dream aloud. I think of the evenings when the sky blazes with the color of secret fires, and I imagine you beside me, your eyes reflecting the horizon's melancholy and hope. My soul reaches across the distance, craving a brush of your presence, a tether that binds your essence to mine. There is suspense in this desire, a trembling uncertainty that sharpens the sweetness of anticipation until it feels unbearable. And yet I would endure any torment for the privilege of loving you so profoundly. If I were to give a name to this ache, it would be both crown and dagger, a beauty that wounds as deeply as it exalts. Every thought of you is a gamble with my own composure, a delicate strategy of heart and mind. I long to speak to you in ways the world would never permit, to confess the fire you awaken in me, the storm that swirls just beneath the surface of my poised exterior. And still, I wait, because some victories are more exquisite when deferred. There are moments in the hush of night, when I fear that I will vanish into my own yearning, when the corridors of the palace echo with absence, and I can almost hear your name whispered on the lips of shadows. I imagine you, as I imagine myself, suspended between fear and desire, each of us waiting for the other to cross the invisible line that separates longing from surrender. My strategy is patience, yet every fiber of me trembles for action. I picture you walking through the sun-dappled halls, unaware that I am watching, my gaze tracing the lines of your face, the set of your shoulders, the subtle movement of your hands. I wish to reach across the distance and touch you, yet I also want you to feel the thrill of discovery, the intoxicating suspense of realizing that every glance, every subtle smile, has been orchestrated for you alone. The air itself seems to conspire with my feelings, carrying hints of your presence like a perfume, but lingers long after you are gone. I feel the pressure of destiny pressing against my chest, a delicate insistence that I cannot ignore, whispering that love, when true, is never idle, that it demands strategy, courage, and the willingness to reveal oneself without promise of reciprocation. And yet, my soul trembles in the risk, daring to hope that you feel the same magnetic pull toward me. Sometimes I close my eyes and imagine our hands meeting for the first time, deliberately slow, as if the world itself must pause to witness it. I feel the electric tension between us, a suspense that tightens the air until it is almost painful, yet deliciously alive. In those imagined touches, I feel the possibility of eternity, the promise that our hearts might find each other in ways neither of us can articulate aloud. I am haunted by the quiet moments when you are near, moments that contain both the threat of exposure and the thrill of intimacy. Every word you speak resonates in my heart, as though it carries secret meaning only I can decipher. I am a princess bound by duty, yet in the shadow of your gaze, all protocol dissolves, leaving only the raw, exquisite vulnerability of wanting you without reserve. Even the night itself seems to mirror my longing, dark velvet skies trembling with the silver promise of stars. I imagine our destinies entwined under that same heavenscape, each star a witness to the tension and desire that simmer between us. The universe feels complicit, conspiring to allow these moments of suspense and craving, teasing me with visions of what could be, yet never delivering them until I dare to act. I have written letters in the hush of night, letters I may never send, but which carry the weight of 1,000 unspoken truths. Each word trembles with the intensity of my desire, a strategy in itself, a way to map the contours of my heart while keeping the mystery intact. I imagine you discovering them, feeling the weight of my emotions like a secret melody that plays only for you, hidden yet undeniable. There is a cruel beauty in loving you from the periphery, in sensing the nearness of your soul without the certainty of claim. I taste the suspense like a fine wine, bitter and intoxicating, and I know that every moment I wait is shaping the eventual reckoning of passion that I dare not yet unleash. I am a monarch of my own restraint, yet every heartbeat rebels, urging me toward the precipice of confession. Sometimes, I imagine the first words we might exchange, if the world fell away, the air thick with the scent of risk and desire. I see the hesitation in your eyes mirroring my own, the delicate balancing act of revealing too much while conveying all that cannot be spoken. It is a dangerous game, yet one I would play endlessly, if it means a single spark of acknowledgement from you. I feel your essence lingering in the periphery of my life, a ghost and a guide, shaping my thoughts, coloring my dreams, igniting my senses. There is suspense in this invisible connection, a tension that stretches taut across the space between us, vibrating with potential, charged with the unspoken, and I am both terrified and exhilarated by its power. Even as I move through my duties and obligations, a private theater of longing unfolds behind my eyes, a series of silent dramas where you are the only actor who matters. Each gesture, each glance, each carefully measured smile is part of a strategy I have devised in the secret chambers of my heart. A plan to draw you nearer while preserving the mystery that makes desire so intoxicating. There are nights when I cannot sleep, because I am consumed by the thought of you, imagining every subtle way you might enter my life, every touch that could shatter the fragile restraint I maintain. The suspense is almost unbearable, a delicious torment that leaves me trembling with anticipation, yet resolute in the knowledge that patience will make the eventual revelation all the more powerful. Even as I speak these words to myself in whispered soliloquies, I know that you are the culmination of every secret yearning I have ever carried. My heart beats in code, every pulse a message, every sigh a strategy, designed to make you feel the intensity of my devotion without a single syllable leaving my lips. It is a game of love, of suspense, of hearts entwined in invisible threads. I have imagined the day when I finally cast aside my fears and reveal the depth of my desire. The moment when suspense gives way to truth, when anticipation transforms into rapture. It is a vision that both thrills and terrifies me. For to love so openly is to risk everything, yet I am convinced that the reward will eclipse every doubt, every hesitation, every shadow of uncertainty that has haunted me until now. I sometimes imagine that the walls of this palace carry whispers of my heart, that even the stone itself trembles with the secret of my devotion to you. The tapestries seem to breathe when I pass, their threads alive with the memory of your presence, and I wonder if, somehow, the universe has conspired to leave invisible footprints for you to follow. I ache to be seen by you, in a way that is both tender and consuming, a revelation that feels at once forbidden and inevitable. When the wind brushes across my chamber, I think it carries your voice, soft and persuasive, calling me into a world where rules and titles dissolve. I feel it caressing my cheeks, pressing against the fragile boundaries I have built, reminding me that love, when true, does not ask permission. There is a suspense in that thought, a thrill that makes my pulse quicken, because the idea of surrender is terrifying, yet irresistible. I have felt the pang of absence so sharply that I can almost taste it, bitter on my tongue, leaving a hollow ache that only the thought of you can fill. I imagine your hands reaching for mine across the distance, your eyes locking with mine as though no time, no palace, no duty could ever separate us. The suspense of imagining what you feel, whether your thoughts mirror mine, is a torment and a delight that leaves me trembling with anticipation. Every night I dream of encounters that may never come, of conversations that may never be spoken aloud, yet they unfold in my mind with exquisite clarity. I see your hesitation and your courage, your laughter and your longing, all mingled together in a dance that I alone witness, I am the audience and the participant, my heart suspended on the precipice of a moment that is both imagined and inevitable. Even in the solitude of the royal gardens, I feel you there. The flowers bow as though they know the truth my heart cannot speak openly. The air vibrates with your unspoken presence, and I am drawn to it, to you, as though the world itself has arranged these secret meetings just for us. Each heartbeat is a drum of suspense, each sigh a declaration of love I cannot yet give in words. I have written letters in secret, letters that speak my soul more honestly than I ever could face to face. I imagine you reading them, feeling the heat of my devotion in every carefully chosen phrase. Yet I also fear that even written words cannot convey the full depth of what I feel. Suspense lingers in every fold of the paper, a delicious tension that leaves me both trembling and exalted. Sometimes I fear that the world will never permit the closeness I crave, that the roles we inhabit as princess and beloved will forever separate our souls. And yet, I sense in every glance you give me the spark of possibility, a subtle recognition of the desire that exists between us. That recognition fuels a suspense that keeps me awake at night, imagining the day when pretense falls away, revealing a truth we have both yearned for in secret. The music that drifts through the halls feels like it knows our story. I imagine each note carrying whispers of our longing, each melody a bridge connecting the space between us. When I hear it, my pulse quickens, my breath catches, and I feel your presence as if you were walking beside me, your hand just barely brushing mine, enough to ignite the fire I have carried in silence for so long. I sometimes fear that my heart is too bold, that my yearning might overwhelm the delicate balance of anticipation that sustains our connection. And yet, the thought of restraint seems unbearable. I am caught between patience and desperation, between the thrill of suspense and the overwhelming desire to collapse into your arms and let the world fall away. The stars that crown the night sky remind me of you, each one a tiny, shimmering testament to the love I cannot fully reveal. I imagine you tracing them as I do, feeling their light as though it carries my affection directly to you. There is suspense in that belief, a trembling hope that the universe conspires to guide our hearts toward one another, even when we are bound by circumstance. Even the simplest moments carry the weight of longing. A brush of a hand, a shared glance across the courtyard, a fleeting smile, all become charged with meaning, as though the world itself pauses to recognize our secret devotion. Each gesture leaves me suspended in a delicious tension, a reminder that love is both a whisper and a roar, both fragile and unstoppable. I have felt nights stretch endlessly, each hour marked by the ache of wanting you, the suspense of imagining whether you feel it too. The moonlight that spills across my chamber becomes a silent witness, highlighting the contours of my longing and reflecting the hope that one day you will meet me here, in the quiet, away from all eyes, and recognize the truth that has burned within me. I imagine conversations with you that never happen, words that are both confession and strategy. I craft each sentence in my mind, weighing its power, savoring the suspense it generates. What would you feel if I spoke them aloud? Would your heart leap toward mine, or would we remain separated by the invisible walls that protocol and fear have built? The uncertainty is both torture and ecstasy. Sometimes, I walk the palace corridors imagining you beside me, feeling your hand graze mine in the faintest touch, so subtle that only the heart would notice. Every heartbeat becomes a drum, every breath a pledge, and I am suspended in the tension of possibility, uncertain whether the next moment will bring revelation or retreat. Even in moments of solitude, I am not alone. Your presence lingers in my thoughts, a quiet fire that refuses to be extinguished. It warms me, it shakes me, it compels me to act with caution yet yearn with abandon. The suspense of whether you feel it too is a sweet, unending torment, a game of hearts played in silence and shadow. I have imagined the first moment when I would dare to let my strategy unfold, when the restraint I have cultivated gives way to the overwhelming truth of my love. The thought terrifies me, for it is a leap into vulnerability, yet it also thrills me beyond measure. I want to feel the collision of our hearts, the electric shock of acknowledgement, and the release of all the tension that has built over countless days of silent longing. Every sound in the palace reminds me of you, the distant echo of footsteps, the rustle of silk, even the soft whisper of the wind. I imagine them carrying your essence, each one a subtle message meant only for me. Suspense coils in my chest at the thought that you may feel the same pull, that you may be living this delicate tension in secret as well. Even the weight of my crown feels lighter when I think of you, as though you have the power to free me from the demands of title and expectation. I imagine you beside me in moments of laughter and in moments of reflection, the steady presence I crave yet cannot fully claim. Every heartbeat stretches with anticipation, every breath is a quiet testament to the love I harbor in silence. I sometimes imagine that the flowers in the royal gardens are sentinels of our longing, blooming only when the air between us vibrates with desire. I see them leaning toward you when you pass, their petals trembling with the weight of unspoken devotion. Suspense fills me with every glance I cast their way, every imagined movement of your hand through their stems. Even in the midst of courtly duties, my thoughts betray me, drifting to you despite my best intentions. I imagine your gaze following mine, feeling the pull of our connection, even when propriety demands distance. Every stolen moment carries the promise of revelation, and every heartbeat is a strategy, a silent plan to draw you closer without risking too much. The night carries your essence like a fragrance that clings to my skin, invisible yet undeniable. I imagine breathing it in and feeling your presence fill the spaces that duty and decorum cannot reach. Suspense coils around me like a serpent, teasing me with the possibility of our union, while keeping it just out of reach, intensifying the desire that burns relentlessly in my heart. Even when I speak to others, I imagine our conversations layered beneath the words, secret messages encoded in tone and glance. Each gesture becomes a strategy, each smile a calculated risk, yet all are driven by the unstoppable force of my affection. The suspense is exquisite, a tension that sharpens every thought and action, until I am poised on the edge of revelation. Sometimes I imagine the first time I will dare to call you mine, when the world's expectations no longer hold sway over my heart. The thought both terrifies and exhilarates me, for love at its purest is a leap into uncertainty. I ache to see the moment our hearts recognize one another fully, to taste the release of longing that has grown too potent for silence to contain. I feel the weight of every passing day, each one a small trial of patience and suspense, yet also a testament to the intensity of my devotion. I know that every moment of waiting, every heartbeat of uncertainty, only sharpens the eventual moment of revelation, making it more potent, more intoxicating, more inevitable. I have imagined countless ways to draw you near, countless strategies whispered to me in the quiet of night. Yet none seems sufficient for the depth of what I feel. My heart beats with both fear and courage, trembling at the thought of exposing its full desire, yet daring to hope that your heart mirrors mine. Every shadow of the palace seems to hold a secret, and I imagine your presence in each one, waiting for the moment our gazes finally collide without pretense or restraint. I sometimes picture the instant our hands meet, in a gesture neither of us can resist, the suspense so thick it feels almost tangible, pressing against my chest. I imagine the electricity of your touch, the unspoken understanding in your eyes, and the world dissolving until only the heat of our shared desire remains. It is a fantasy, yes, but one that fuels every pulse in my body and every secret thought in my mind. Even in my most composed moments, I feel the ache of longing, the suspense of uncertainty, the delicate tension of knowing that my heart is no longer mine to govern. It belongs to you, even if you are unaware, and the thought of you feeling it too makes the waiting almost unbearable. Every glance, every word, every breath carries the possibility of revelation, and I am suspended in anticipation of what might finally unfold. I have wondered if you sense the invisible threads that tie us together, if your heart trembles in the same rhythm as mine when we are near. There is a delicious torment in imagining that you do, a tension that ignites my very soul, daring me to act even as reason urges patience. My love has become both my strategy and my surrender, a calculated risk wrapped in the sheer force of desire. The corridors of the palace have become a theater of longing, every turn and shadow a stage for my imagination. I imagine you there, moving through my thoughts as surely as you move through the halls, your presence filling the space with warmth and suspense. I ache to let my hand brush yours, to feel the electricity of contact, yet I hold back, savoring the tension like a precious jewel that must not be squandered. Even the softest candlelight feels like it conspires with my desire, illuminating the hidden corners of my heart that have been waiting for you. I imagine your eyes reflecting that light, seeing the truth of my longing in ways that words cannot capture. The suspense is exquisite, each heartbeat a reminder that love is both peril and reward, both torment and delight, all at once. I have imagined confessing my feelings in a moment of quiet intimacy, the suspense so sharp it cuts through my restraint. I picture the hesitation in your gaze, the brief tension before understanding and recognition wash over us both. That instant of vulnerability, when all pretense falls away, is the apex of my longing, the moment where strategy and passion converge into truth. Even as I move through the duties of my day, I feel your presence lingering like a shadow across my thoughts. Every laugh I hear, every voice that passes me, reminds me of you, and I feel the tension of anticipation tighten around my heart. I am both patient and impatient, cautious and reckless, suspended between the hope of recognition and the fear of rejection. Sometimes I imagine the first touch that will break the dam of restraint, a hand brushing mine, a finger tracing the line of my palm, a simple gesture loaded with the weight of unspoken devotion. The suspense of that first contact overwhelms me, a delicious agony that leaves me trembling and yearning for the inevitable surrender of our hearts to one another. I picture the way your eyes might linger on mine when the moment finally comes, the way the world would pause as we recognize the truth of our love. There is suspense in that vision, a delicate balancing act of fear and exhilaration, of desire restrained and yet ready to explode. It is a strategy of heart and soul, a plan devised by longing itself, and I tremble at its potential. Even the silence between us feels alive, charged with possibility. I imagine it vibrating with the unspoken words that hover on the edge of our lips, the suspense of confession, the tension of hearts poised for revelation. Every heartbeat is a secret drum, every breath a clandestine declaration, each moment building toward the point where strategy becomes surrender. I have imagined speaking to you in whispers, meant only for the two of us, words wrapped in longing, vulnerability, and strategy all at once. The suspense of whether you will understand, whether your heart will mirror mine, is unbearable, yet intoxicating. A tension that sharpens my senses and leaves me both trembling and triumphant before the moment has even arrived. Sometimes I imagine being near enough to feel your warmth, to sense the steady rhythm of your pulse, and yet far enough that anticipation thrives. There is a sweetness in that distance, a delicious tension that makes every imagined contact more potent, every heartbeat more urgent, every glance more profound. The suspense itself has become a part of the love I feel, inseparable from its essence. I have dreamed of nights where the world falls away, leaving only you and me, suspended in a bubble of longing and suspense. Every sigh, every whisper, every subtle gesture becomes amplified, a language of heartbeats and glances that speaks more truth than any spoken word. I imagine the rush of relief and rapture when restraint finally dissolves, leaving only the brilliance of unguarded love. Even as I imagine this, I feel the tension of reality pressing against fantasy, the delicate balance of risk and reward. I ache to act, yet I savor the suspense, knowing that the intensity of revelation depends on the patience of restraint. Love is both strategy and surrender, and I am learning to master both, while carrying the weight of longing in every glance and thought. I have imagined the first embrace, the moment our hearts finally collide, the suspense giving way to the tremor of recognition. I see your lips brush mine in a fleeting gesture that feels like both eternity and a beginning, a spark igniting the world we have imagined together. That is the culmination of every hidden glance, every secret thought, every carefully crafted strategy of the heart. Even in moments of solitude, I feel you, a constant presence in the rhythm of my life. I imagine your hand brushing mine in unexpected ways, the suspense of contact charging the air, making every glance a potential revelation. My heart has learned to thrive in this tension, to dance with the anticipation, to savor the exquisite torment of longing that defines us. Sometimes I imagine the whispered confessions, the quiet admissions of desire that no one else would ever hear. The suspense in those moments is almost unbearable, yet it is the essence of love itself, unpredictable, intoxicating, and profoundly consuming. Every heartbeat carries the possibility of connection, every sigh a step toward the fulfillment of our heart's secret plan. I have pictured the joy in your eyes when the strategy of longing finally yields to the surrender of love, the relief and exhilaration of our hearts, recognizing one another. The suspense has built for so long that the moment becomes almost more than we can bear. Yet it is a blissful release, a triumph of desire over fear, of passion over restraint. Even as I think of all these moments, I know that love is not just revelation but persistence, patience, and courage. The suspense is both our trial and our reward, the tension a bridge that leads to the ultimate intimacy. Every heartbeat spent waiting is a preparation for the moment when we finally irrevocably surrender to the force that has been shaping our hearts all along. Sometimes I imagine the first word of confession, spoken in trembling tones, the weight of anticipation and strategy suspended between us. The sound carries the promise of recognition, the thrill of shared desire, and the certainty that our hearts have found their counterpart. The suspense is sweet, and the surrender even sweeter, a reward for all the secret waiting and silent longing. I have imagined countless ways to bring you closer, ways that require patience, courage, and unwavering devotion. Yet I know that the ultimate strategy is love itself, fearless, unguarded, and entirely devoted. The suspense of waiting has refined it, sharpened it, until it is ready to bloom in a moment of pure, radiant truth. Even now, I feel the tension in the air, the exquisite suspense of a love that has grown in shadow and silence, ready to ignite in revelation. Every glance, every breath, every heartbeat is part of the plan, a carefully orchestrated symphony of desire, patience, and courage that will culminate in the union of our hearts. And when that moment comes, I know that all the waiting, all the longing, all the suspense will have been worth it. For in your presence, my heart will no longer need strategy, no longer need concealment, for the truth of our love will be enough. The tension will dissolve into warmth, desire into intimacy, and all that I have waited for will finally, irrevocably belong to us.